short space of time. And if they can behave themselves, like the Formula 3 drivers did earlier, after their rather checkered visit to Monza, you talk about these drivers having had a checkered time at the Red Bull Ring,
yes,
then we should be good. And Joel Eriksson, with his 2 wins, as you say, is the man on pole position as the cars now are released onto the warming up lap, a chance to get a bit of warmth into the tyres.
Huge grid of cars, and as I've explained to you on a number of occasions, it's limited to between 35 and 52, depending on the race venue. And we have a big grid of Formula 4 cars. The qualifying that sets the grids, the qualifying session is divided into 2 groups, and the 2 practice sessions enable the drivers to acclimatise themselves to the track, of course, but qualifying taking place, as I said, in 2 groups, and dependent on the number of places available on the grid, as I mentioned, between 35 and 52. Now, if there are more entries, then the results from qualifying decide the actual starting field for the weekend's 3 races. 3 races to come from the ADAC F4 this weekend here at Spa-Francorchamps. And Joel Eriksson then, as we look at the grid in full, will go from pole position. Eriksson, alongside him is the Schwartzman car from Muka Motorsport. Then we see Zhu and Ralph Aaron for the Prema Power Team. Then it's Dienst and Norris. Welcome addition to the grid, Esmeyer and Joey Mawson, P7 and P8. Then it's Beckman and Bockman, Muka Motorsport and Jensen Motorsport, P9 and 10. Hadji and Harrison Newey, welcome return to Harrison Newey, missed the Red Bull Ring. Then it's Chicotto and Janitz, and Mick Schumacher. And Michael Voldher will be alongside. Then it's Jonk Massatis, going from P17 and 18. Schramm and Fidja, P19 and 20. Then we see Pirro and Regevu, P21 and 22, with Ortman and Kolkman bringing up the next row of the grid. Van Eiter and Hoti, P25, 26. Then it's Valente and Muller-Crepon going from P27 and 28 with Rupp. Tony Wolff is P30 with Kramer and Zimmerman, P31, 32. Brezina and Halder with Engstler and Schreiner, Niederhauser and Riccio, one of the Team Scheider drivers, bringing up the rear of this 38 grid lineup. 38 Formula 4 cars here at Spa.
Technically, it's 39 because Matteo Trudi is prevented from taking part in this race, steward's decision, after an indiscretion at the Red Bull Ring. But he will be on the grid for races 2 and 3.
Wasn't it discretion as well? There we are.
Now, the nice thing about these cars is they are relatively narrow, and on a big circuit like Spa, it's not just that they can slipstream, but they can also overtake. For many of them, it's the first time they will have raced here. Spa's a pretty daunting circuit, but this has all the indeed. And so far this year, Joel Eriksson's had 2 wins, Marvin Diest has had 2, and 1 apiece for Joey Mawson and Mick Schumacher.
Well, Van Amersfoort, of course, have had success in Formula 3 already today. See if they can replicate that in this ADAC Formula 4 races. Mr. Adrian Newey then watches his son Harrison. He's not a regular spectator, it has to be said. And Harrison missed Red Bull Ring because he had exams to take. So education taking precedence over motor racing last time out at Red Bull Ring.
Indeed, he also does the BRDC F4 Championship as well, which is a different type of car, but a similar concept as in Junior Slicks and Wings. And he's doing a lot of racing, therefore, because that has 3 races a weekend as well. And he's proved to be quick, but a bit unlucky thus far in that championship. So it's a 1-by-1 staggered grid. The last driver to form up, and he's going to have a long, long stare at the lights, is Mauro Aricchio. And once the Team Scheider car slots into place, then we're going to be good to go.
You're absolutely right. The cars at the front of the pack do have a long wait. There is Harrison Newey, and there's Adrian Newey once again, the Van Amersfoort garage. Now, the best Van Amersfoort car on the grid is on the 4th row. That will be the car of Joey Mawson. And the rest of the pack come into grid order. It's anxious time for those at the front of the pack, David. And that man going from a pole position, Joel Eriksson, had a reasonably good time of it at Red Bull Ring until the final race. He'd taken 2 wins. We get a green flag from the marshal at the back. Stand by. Here we go. 30 minutes of ADAC Formula 4 here at Spa-Francorchamps. Lights, once they extinguish, we are away and racing. And Ericsson away without a problem. Slotting in is Schwartzman P2 as the rest of the pack come through. Always a bit of a pinch point as we head up now to this first turn, David.
Good start, though, by the pole man, Charles Ericsson, so it's him that leads the way as they work their way downhill. This monster field still pouring through La Source, but actually they've all been pretty well behaved, so they're all safely through. Nobody's gone scampering out too wide, and Ericsson then tries to build the advantage as they sweep uphill for the first time, and it looks like he is just edging away slightly, but this next part of the circuit is going to be absolutely critical, because this, if you can use the slipstream, is where you can do lots of overtaking, but Ericsson has already gapped them up into second place, tries to go Guan Yu Zhao, but also up on the inside there goes Robert Schwartzman in the orange car.
Yes, Schwartzman on the inside then, and Ericsson goes through as we keep an eye on the rest of the pack coming through. This the opening lap of the race here at Spa-Francorchamps for the ADAC Formula 4. One car running right out onto the gravel there.
So it begins.
Yes, just keeping an eye on Marvin Dienst as well. He another one of the young stars in this emerging category. First season of ADAC Formula 4.
Yeah, Dean's 5th on the grid, but leaving himself with a bit of work to do.
Yes.
But Ericsson's first half of his first lap is massively impressive. The way that he's got away is there. Look, there's a challenge being made as they sweep down towards Poulon. Ralph Aaron under pressure as they turn their way out of the corner, but Ericsson has already gone, hasn't he? He is going to take some stopping. The rest of them, so busy squabbling amongst themselves, means that he's going to be able to build this advantage.
And that's exactly what he needs to do, isn't it? Gets away. And, oh, we have a couple that come together there, and one into the tyre barrier. It was Cecotto, I'm sure, was one of the cars, but I think it's Cecotto who's making his escape.
It is Jonathan Cecotto, the second son of Johnny Cecotto, back on track, but there's one still in the gravel. That could even be a safety car, given the vigilance the German race officials have to try and get cars out of the way without using yellows. They do like to neutralise races these days, but we will see what happens. As there, look, round the outside goes Kim-Louis Schramm to try to gain a place at Blanchimont. That's brave stuff. He's got himself on the inside line for the bus stop. Look at the yellow car in the background. Schramm will just be able to brake later. He's got the inside line for the corner. Is he going to be able to find the line? Yes, he does. Gets ahead of Harrison Newey.
So that was a good move set up there from Schramm, wasn't it? Dark clouds loom overhead at the moment. Track is dry. No mention of a safety car. Hopefully that car has been able to get out of that gravel and to safety. There is Schramm then, who's holding on to that position. Also moving up the order there is Jannes Fitcher. Good move from Jannes Fitcher up the inside. So Jola Eriksson is a country mile ahead of the chasing pack with a margin of 2.1 seconds already. And here, Schramm is not going to be getting away with it because Schramm is being hounded now. So there you can see just at the back of the picture the yellow car who Harrison Newey fights back. And I think Harrison Newey's edged it, David. Now that was an example of how you can use that straight.
And use that slipstream and try and get the work done as you get to the corner. So Newey goes back ahead of Schramm, but also now joining in is Mick Schumacher. He had one win this year. Schumacher back to full health after his injury at the Red Bull Ring, and Schumacher is a man on a mission here because he didn't qualify that well. He started, remember, on the 8th row of the grid.
So Mick Schumacher is on the back there as cars run wide. Now that's something that the race steward also looks at as well. All 4 wheels over the white line. That could incur certainly an investigation from the steward and maybe a penalty if the offence is repeated on many occasions.
Indeed so, as the next battle swoops through. Poulon gaining ground on the inside there. Nikolai Rogivu turns his way through. The Swiss driver gains a place then. That's going to put him now the fringes of the top 15 as the cars work their way up towards the 5th path, through the right, through the left.
Now, we're being told the incident between car number 9 and car number 27, which confirms to us that it was Marvin Dienst, who, if I can just let you know, that Marvin Dienst going into this was P2 in the championship, just 1 point behind Joel Eriksson, so this plays into Eriksson's hands as well.
And that replay you've just had of the teammates, Mike Ortman and Benjamin Mazatis getting together, that was the demise of Dienst with a bit of an assist from Cecotto. And Dienst, yes, 27, bundled off into the gravel, into the tyres, and bad news for him.
It was quite an impact.
It was actually. He came to a big stop, didn't he? And Chicotto was able to rally across his way out of there. Up front, Ericsson has done the best lap of the race, and he leads already by 3.4 seconds. It's very, very impressive, this, the way that he's getting away. In second, then, is Guan Yu Zhao. In third place is Robert Schwartzman. Ralph Aaron is fourth. And then in fifth spot at the moment, you've got Jano Esmayer.
Giorgio Maggi making a move there in car number 18, and it's Marek Bogman that he is side by side with. Also, cars number 3 and number 6, that's Macetis and Altman are under investigation.
It was pretty silly, especially as they were teammates. We saw that replay of them clattering into each other down at the bus stop. Now, nose to tail here, look, you've got Marek Bogman and Giorgio Maggi together. Maggi gets out of the draft, but he may have made that move too soon, actually, on the run up towards Les Combes. Let's see. Because now you see he's not got any help from the toe. He's got to do this on his own straight line speed. He is on the outside line, but he's going to have to cede the place. So back ahead of him then on the inside goes Botman. We've had drama coming past the old pits there. Cedric Pirot has managed to squeeze Nikolai Rogivu into the wall.
Well, that certainly could provoke a safety car, I'm afraid to say, particularly where that is. There's a lot of damage to that number 20 car, isn't there? The Rogivu has really been just nerfed into that wall, hasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we didn't see the start of it, but whether there was ever a gap, we don't know. But Rogivu clearly feels that it wasn't down to him. Cedric Pirot gets out of the car and stalks away, but if Rogivu tried to make a move and Pirot came across the road and just squeezed him, if you squeeze anybody towards a wall, you expect drama. Safety car is deployed.
Now, of course, the big loser in the safety car deployment is going to be Joel Eriksson, who'd built a 3.4 second lead. Bernd Schneider took a look at that. I'd like to see that again.
Yeah, we only saw the end of it, didn't we? But either way, you've got to say that Pirot has a case to answer, because his line was suggesting he was squeezing anyway, but as you say, didn't see the start of it. There is the safety car. The recovery vehicle is on its way as well. And of course, the safety car has to scoop up everybody before the incident zone, so they go through at the correct pace. And let's get a replay of the start first of all. Have a look at Ericsson as the lights go out. Launched himself away. 1 or 2 on their toes from further back on the grid. Schwartzman tries to come across and cover that second place on the way down towards La Source. And cars weave every which way, trying to find a clear bit of road. But the good thing was no silliness.
No, absolutely not. And I think I'd mentioned just before that that's a real pinch point, isn't it? And did expect some cars to be clattered very, very wide there, but that wasn't the case. So credit to them. Of course, all the eyes are on single-seater driving standards at the moment, aren't they?
Yes, very true. F4 had its moments at the Red Bull Ring. F3 had its moments at Monza. So Jean Todt is here, in fact, today, the FIA president. And, of course, the FIA has its road safety campaign, which is also very concerned with track safety.
Yes.
And this won't have gone down a storm, will it? Car in the old pit wall. But, thankfully, car's being dispatched pretty quickly there. Pirot's car has gone downhill and the marshal's pushing it away now. So it's just Rogivu's car to retrieve, and that's what happened to Marvin Dienst chassis. Broken suspension, and 2 more races to come this weekend. But that itself now hoiked over the fence in a rather undignified fashion.
Yes, and that's really hurt Marvin Dienst.
Yes, he was 1 point back, wasn't he?
Yeah, going into this. So Joel Eriksson then, who his start was perfect, managed to get away, managed to build up a nice comfortable cushion, but that has counted as 0 now as the safety car is deployed, which isn't terribly unusual in ADAC Formula 4.
Everybody weaving around, of course, to try and maintain the warmth in the Pirelli tyres. Vigorous weaving from some of them. And all of these laps, of course, eat into the 30 minutes. So the safety car on track, the race order on the screen, and you can see who's gone up, who's gone down. But how about the progress of Fitje? Because Janis Fitje has gained 7 places over the first few laps, and also Tim Zimmerman has gained 16 spots, which is pretty impressive. Of course, qualifying split into 2 groups, so one side of the track takes one group, one side of the track takes the other group, so it's not necessarily a reflection of time or where you were in your group, potentially. However, Zimmerman making good progress, others tumbling down the field.
Michel Haldo we look at there in car number 35. with the pink flashes on the front of the nose there. Beg your pardon, that's Karen Schreiner in the number 35 car. So the car's being led around by the safety car. And there is Michelle Halder. Knew we were going to have a couple of moments focus on our female racers out there. And still behind this safety car with no word when that will be coming in. Look like the recovery team are making good progress, to be fair. And there is Michelle. Well, the progress is ongoing then as the car of Nikolai Rogovou is put onto the flatbed and will be taken away. Big concrete wall there, so there won't be much, there was certainly no damage to the barrier as such.
No.
And I would think yeah, of course, recovery truck will be able to pull off, and then it will just be down to the race director to decide when that safety car can come in.
Yes, I would think we'll finish this lap, but then at the end of the next, we should be good to go racing once more.
As you say, it does eat into the time, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's a long lap this anyway. You know,
Yes.
7 kilometres in its length, so it's a long old lap. So out of the bus stop they come, heading up now towards the timing line. And as they come through, race leader, of course, now overtaking under the safety car, Joel Eriksson. Still ahead of Guan Yu Zhao. Then you've got Schwarzman ahead of Aaron, ahead of Esmeyer. 6th is Lando Norris, going well. 7th place at the moment, Joey Mawson. In 8th spot is David Beckman. In 9th, it is Marek Berkman. And then the top 10 rounded out by Giorgio Maggi in the surviving SMG Swiss Motorsport car. They didn't get Matteo Druni into the race because he wasn't allowed to do this race. And they've lost Rogivou's car up against the concrete, which is now clear of errant Tatius Abarths. And so, fingers crossed, we should be good to go at the end of this lap. 18 minutes remain, but it's getting to the point now where the number of racing laps diminishes. The incident between Chicotto and Deans is being referred to as stewards. So that was the lap 1 rather than the pit path. We'll hear more about that potentially post-race.
So as they continue behind the safety car, we're anticipating that the safety car will begin this lap. We think the recovery job has been done, and with such a long lap here, theoretically the safety car will come in on this lap, but no word on that yet. As soon as we do have confirmation, we'll bring that to you, of course. And the clock continues to tick down, just 17 minutes and a bit left for the duration of this race. Joel Eriksson then, who built a comfortable margin, has seen that reduced to very little. And the safety car is coming in this lap. We get the confirmation on our race control screen. It will scroll across the top of the TV screen in just a moment, I am sure. So we will be back to racing, and it's a bit of a sprint, to be honest. About 15 and a bit minutes left of racing time.
So these laps are just under 4 minutes behind the safety car, but we'll go racing this time. Joel Eriksson then to try and sprint away in the Moto Park run car. It comes from a good racing family, of course. His brother Jimmy, one of the leading lights in GP3, he has been for the last couple of seasons, and he's busy in the Red Bull Ring this weekend. So we'll go racing in a moment. You can see people squirting, trying to get the temperature through the tyres. Go racing once more. This will be the end of lap 5, and we'll probably be just about nudging half distance when we get going.
Yes, I think you're right. Counting down. There is the safety car. Lights still illuminated for the moment. The lights will go out though, because the safety car is coming in this lap. And Eriksson has to do it all over again.
The way that he went from the standing start suggests that a rolling start, which is effectively what this is going to be, won't trouble him at all. Eriksson looking very strong indeed. Motor Park a good team, and so he stacks them all up now. bunches them all up behind him. What he wants to try to do is outfox here Guan Yu Zhao behind him. Once he goes, he's got to go. He can't squirt away and then slow, because that will cause mayhem behind him and get him in all sorts of hot water. He can't go too slowly and lag too far back, because that also can earn you a penalty if the race director feels like it. So he's got to be sensible about it, but you can see how slowly the back of the field go. They're virtually at walking pace now, whereas only now, coming out of Blanchimont, does Ericsson pick up the pace, comes down towards the bus stop, and he can't overtake, of course, until they get to the timing line. But it's going to be a green flag to get the race back underway now. Through the bus stop they come, and Ericsson powers his way up towards the green flag at the start line with about, what, 2 lengths advantage? He goes through. Before the safety car, it was over a second. It's half a second now. And for third place, Schwartzman is under pressure because Ralph Aaron goes to the outside. Schwartzman locks up. Big puff of tar smoke as they go into the corner, and more of them also lock up. But amazingly, no, they're not going in the right direction. One casualty. Who's that that's got turned around? Let's try and focus in and see that 33 is Jan Jonk, and he is hopefully going to be back on track in a moment as the cars already pair off on this restart lap, heading now out of Radion.
So Ralph Aaron was one that I thought would try and make a move at that restart. Well, he's certainly making a move to try and move up to P3. Now you can see him side by side with Schwartzman, and behind there's the cars go 3 abreast as well. Has Aaron done enough? Yes, he has. He goes through, takes up P3 now. Ericsson leads. P2 is Guan Yu Zhao, and then it's Ralph Aaron now into P3. Just at the back of the shot there was another one go round.
And that, I think, is Schramm, is it not? Kim Lewis Schramm has had a moment in the Neuhauser Racing Team car. Yes, he's back on track, but he goes tumbling down the field. And there's another one in strife. That's Janis Fittier, I fear it is. And Fittier had been absolutely storming his way up the order, and there are bits coming off the car. Safety cars breed safety cars. It's a line one often fears you have to use, and it's true here, because with them all bunched up again, more things can happen on the restart. There, look, defending is Mick Schumacher, and he has got Tim Zimmermann right up behind him. Good fight, this. This is for 15th place, believe it or not.
Tim Zimmermann comes here then off the back of a 5th and a 2nd at the Red Bull Ring, and a non-finish, to be fair, as he tries to look up the inside of Mick Schumacher. Schumacher closes the door now. Also buying into that battle is, who's that right behind there? Isn't that Jonk?
It's Florian Janitz, I think.
Beg your pardon, yes.
In the Lechner racing car, same Lechner squad that ran Porsches so successfully. And Florian Janitz now actually is helping Schumacher, because what he's doing is getting onto the back of Zimmermann. Zimmermann has to defend, and so Mick Schumacher is just edging away. And here comes Janitz up the inside. That's going to be the outside line for Blanchimont. Is he going to be able to find a way round here? Sharp intake of breath, foot to the floor, right the way round the outside of Blanchimont. Is he going to come out ahead? Just about level as they get to the bus stop, and if Janitz makes this stick, he will have worked hard for it. He's up the inside line at the bus stop, and he can't do it after all that hard work. Tim Zimmermann just manages to stave him off. Great racing, though.
This is going to continue, though, as they head towards the turn 1.
The incident between Mike Ortmann and Jan Jonk declared a race incident. That was why Jonk spun coming out of La Source, because there was contact between him and Ortmann. They're going downhill, 12 down. Mick Schumacher up 1 place after the dramas on the previous lap. We've got less than 12 minutes to go. I would suggest that part 2 is more exciting than part 1. After the safety car, we've got more happening, as Zimmermann is still under massive pressure, isn't he, now, from Florian Janitz in the red car. They fan out across the road, look for 3rd and 4th and 5th, getting to the braking zone with Ralph Aaron under huge pressure and actually losing out, because Schwartzman goes back up into 3rd. So Schwartzman in the first of the Mucker cars there, number 4, retakes his 3rd spot.
Brilliant stuff, isn't it? Whilst all this is going on, Harrison Newey has moved up to P9 as well. And where is Norris? P5.
I still think that's a good effort by Lando Norris.
Yes.
Because this, admittedly, is a car he's driven in the Italian Championship, but he doesn't have as much experience of this car as some of the others. And, of course, it's a circuit he doesn't know that well. And he's only in his first year of single-seater racing. He came out of Ginetta Juniors, in which he was a very, very impressive rookie last year at, what, 14, 15, when he came into the championship. But Ericsson, if you had any fears about him on the restart, he's already over a second ahead and continues to stroll off into the distance here, looking not only for win 3 of the year, but also to increase the championship lead over the gravel-stuck Marvin Dienst.
Indeed. Marvin Dienst will rescue nothing from this race, will bank nothing, whereas Joel Eriksson, of course, start at the very, very top of the score charts. At the moment, Joel Eriksson leads this race by a margin of just over 1 second. So as the cars come through, there is the number 2 car of Tim Zimmerman. Schumacher running down in P12 at the moment. His Van Amersfoort teammate Adrian Newey up there in P9, as side by side is Volter and Florian Janitz.
Over the timing line, Eriksson then 1.6 seconds up at the moment. So he is getting away, continuing to build this advantage into the final third of the race now with just under 10 minutes to go. Cars working their way through the right-hand hairpin at La Source. And Robert Schwarzman's efforts, by the way, to get himself back up into a decent finishing position, now third. He's done the fastest lap of the race. Losing out there, Benjamin Mazetis, as he goes through La Source and having to defend for all he's worth. Kim Louis-Schramm, this is for 18th place.
Wherever you look through the pack, there's a battle going on, isn't there?
Yeah, I mean, right on his tail is Alain Vallon. And you've also got the recovering Cecotto, I think, in that. Yes, Cecotto's got past Vallon already. Kind of tear off eyes that Cecotto threw away. I think so, yeah.
So now diving to the outside of Kim Louis-Schramm. Here's the Cecotto car. Schramm is just up. He's got the momentum going in there, hasn't he?
Because these are nice, narrow cars, they can overtake. We've seen quite a lot of that already. We've got 8 minutes and change on the clock as the leaders come through Bruxelles, down towards the next left-hander, dubbed Speaker's Corner, before you plunge downhill towards Pouan. And now, in fact, Schramm is getting away, isn't he? Schramm, because Cecotto, having worked his way past Vallon, is busy defending. And so Cecotto can't stay on the tail of the Neuhauser Racing Team car. In contrast, he's got to defend. But Cecotto here trying to recover, Jonathan Cecotto, after his moment early on with Dienst.
So that, of course, still under investigation. Glenn Rupp there is being targeted by Job van Uiter. And just behind them, it is the Kim Louis-Schramm car. That's one of our lady racers off.
Carrie Schreiner. Wrong, yeah. Carrie Schreiner back on again, but tumbling down the order as a consequence. The longer the race goes on, the more lively driving standards become. It's interesting, isn't it? Because now, of course, they're getting more urgent about the need to try and overtake and gain places. The leaders work their way up through Blanchimont, turn their way now up towards the bus stop, but up front, Eriksson has got 2 seconds in hand. It's looking very, very good for him.
Yes, Joel Eriksson then. As diving through there goes Engstler. Schreiner that had to take to the shortcut through there. So Eriksson with a 2-second advantage. Diving up the inside goes Fitcher, the Moto Park driver. Urgent look to the left-hand side there from... there's Ralph Aaron. Just trying a move on the Lando Norris car there. So Norris all of a sudden is under pressure, isn't he?
And Aaron has a look to the inside there as they drop down towards the right-hander in Bruxelles, but don't forget that Norris has got ahead of him up into that fourth place. This is Aaron trying to fight back, so he doesn't like being overtaken by this upstart. There is Harrison Newey with smoke coming out of the back of it. That actually almost looks like the extinguisher's gone off. Have a look at the right rear body.
Yes.
And he's covered in extinguisher.
And the wheel.
Yeah, he's over his helmet, it's over his overalls. I think the extinguisher's gone off.
And he was in P9. So Harrison Newey, as Mr. Adrian Newey looks on then.
Not impressed.
He is, he's covered, isn't he?
Yeah. For whatever reason, it looks like the extinguisher has gone off in the car. So he has a spin, tries to get going. And it's over his visor now. Tears the rip-off visor off, but then he's conscious that he's virtually sitting in a shower of extinguishers. So Harrison Newey's difficult season continues, and he's got a very wet right hand to his overalls, hasn't he? You can see all the extinguishment on it. He'll be cold, he'll be soggy, he'll be very frustrated. That's one very miserable driver.
We have a safety car.
We do indeed. And with 5 minutes to go, it might be that we end under the safety car. We'll wait and see.
Which won't be the first time, it has to be said. So, Joel Eriksson then, who up till the deployment of the safety car had a margin of 2.321. As the Harrison Newey car is recovered, safety car is out. And with 4 3/4 minutes left on the clock, dependent on when the car is recovered, we get to see another racing lap for the checkered flag. Well, there, as you can see, very, very upset about that.
Yeah, I mean,
That's a real mess, isn't it?
If something like that puts you out of the race, you can understand all the frustration because it's completely out of your control. And Harrison Newey, you know a driver is frustrated when they don't take off the crash helmets.
Yes.
So he's got to sit and watch this. And with the car having ended up on the inside of the curbing at Les Cons, if somebody else went off, they could strike it. So you can understand to an extent why the safety car was called so quickly. There is Joel Eriksson, the race leader. Himself 2.3 seconds ahead of everybody else in the race, and now stares at the back of the safety car. By the time they do this lap, there will only be time for one more, and I would suggest that it's going to end behind the safety car.
You're right.
Oh no, I'll tell you a lie, safety car in this lap, so they've moved it, so we're going to get one racing lap in.
Okay, well, that will be a real fight to the finish.
So Eriksson ahead of Guam, ahead of Schwartzman, Lando Norris fourth. Good job this by Lando Norris. Fifth, Ralph Aaron, and Joey Mawson sixth. Now he's flattered his seat in this race. He's third in the championship, Joey Mawson. He's had a victory, the Australian driver, but hasn't actually been able to make a huge amount of progress. I mean, he did start eighth, he's now sixth, yes, but he struggled to do any better than that.
Right.
That's a very sage from
Yes.
a learned colleague.
It's the comment you made earlier about there are some that say safety cars breed safety cars.
I see.
We have one lap left.
We have one lap left. It'll be fine. What could possibly go wrong?
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
Right. Eriksson will go into the final lap in the lead. And he's certainly done the work, hasn't he, across the course of the race, which has been punctuated somewhat by this, the second showing of the safety car.
Correct. Yes. Yes.
Lights are out now, so again, for the second time of asking, Joel Eriksson will try and stack them all up. Now, last time around, he did just enough, didn't he? But, dare I say it, car number 32, driven by Guan Yu, anticipated it quite well.
He was the only one that went with him, wasn't
Yeah,
he?
indeed.
Yes.
Those two kind of broke away from the rest of the pack. Let's see.
So down they come, heading towards the bus stop. A long way down the order there is Luca Engler, Franz Engler's son, 16 years of age. Of course, Franz Engler, one of the leading lights, formerly in the World Touring Car Championship, now in TCR. But the green flags wave, and once more Joel Eriksson tries to get away. I still think one of the dangers in this is going to be Schwartzman, number 4 in third place, except he makes a bit of a mistake into the bus stop. So we go racing once more onto the last lap of the race, and one runs way, way wide, almost into the pit lane there. Back on he comes, pick that one up in a moment, as through they come. But it's Eriksson with almost half a second in hand as they work their way round La Source. Green lights flash, green flags wave, we're racing again, and look at the way they attack La Source now. There's much more desperation in some of the driving.
Absolutely, and Joel Eriksson has done everything that he needed to do now. He's built up a little bit of a gap, and hopefully he's built enough of a gap up to prevent the car behind having any tow along this straight. And there is Mick Schumacher into the points P10. There is our race leader, Joel Eriksson. just taking a look at the inside there, but side by side, it's Norris.
On the outside, but Schwartzman manages to hang on. But Norris for the podium is a real possibility as Schumacher goes around the outside of Zimmerman and opens the door wide, and that's going to let up the inside there, possibly, yes, to go through and gain ground, Buckman, so more shuffling in the order. And under investigation is Mick Schumacher, infringement of safety car regulations. Schumacher is under investigation.
So, final lap, Joel Eriksson leads the race. It'll be win number 3 in the season for Joel Eriksson if he's able to hold on to this. There's Mick Schumacher then, who is under investigation for infringement of safety car regulations.
And has he just lost a place by running too wide of Poulin? I think he possibly has, because he's got Zimmerman and then the recovering Schramm looking for a way by. So it's all shuffling on this last lap, isn't it? Because this is the vital lap. And don't forget as well that the race 3 grid is based on the results of this, but with a reversal of the top 10. At them going on to this lap, Schumacher was up into 10th place. 10th is crucial because it gives you pole for race 3. And 11th is about as bad as it can get because you're so near and yet so far. Yes.
So there is Joel Eriksson then, who really, for the second time of asking from the second intervention of the safety car, had to do it all over again. But he is going to head towards the checkered flag and take win number 3 in ADAC F4. To add to his 2 wins at the Red Bull Ring, Joel Eriksson wins here in Spa. So it's Eriksson from Zhu, from Schwartzman, Norris, Mawson, Aaron, Beckman, Esmail, Maggi, Volta takes P10, then it's Bachmann, Jannet, Zimmerman, Schramm, Schumacher back down to P15.
So, the last lap really unravelled for Schumacher, didn't it? Lost 5 spots on that lap. And so a 3rd win for Eriksson, 2nd visit to the podium of the year for Guan Yu Zhao, and 1st visit of the year to the podium for Robert Schwartzman. He'll be well chuffed with that. And Lando Norris missed out on the podium by half a second.
Yes. A good showing from him, though.
Very much. Yes, indeed. So all of these cars, same chassis, same engine, run by different teams, and very good teams as well. Mucker, Neuhauser, Motopark, Jense, one of the top junior teams for many, many years. Lechner, HTP junior team, which these days has Gerhard Unger, formerly of HWA's Mercedes DTM squad, overseeing things. Timo Scheider's team, Team Engschler, Race Performance, Prema Power team in there as well. So it's a stellar cast.
Yes.
Very, very competitive championship and a big entry. And Joel Eriksson, the winner, by 0.6 of a second in the end. 3rd, his 1st podium finish of the year, though. Robert Schwartzman for Mucker Motorsport, the SMP Racing liveried car, but run by Peter Mucker's team Bags. 3rd spot. 2nd, a 2nd visit to the podium of the year for Guan Yu Zhao, but it's a race win in fine style, you've got to say, having coped with everything that was thrown at him for Joel Eriksson. And the Motopark driver takes a 3rd victory of the season and, crucially, builds his championship lead.
Absolutely. His closest rival in the championship, Marvin Dienst, you will have seen in the barriers earlier in the race. So that's great news for Joel Eriksson, because he does just cement that position he has at the top of the points and builds up a comfort margin over Marvin Dienst. That's for sure. There is Joel Eriksson then. And we'll be seeing the guys up on the podium shortly. Race punctuated by those 2 safety cars, which meant 2 times of asking. Joel Eriksson then had to recover from the margin of comfort he had going into the safety car deployment, but on both occasions he kept his head and he did so. And not lose sight of the fact that he had a good start as well right at the beginning of the race. So Joel Eriksson then.
He's got a good karting pedigree,
yeah,
Joel, before he came into F4, into single-seaters this year, into Formula 4. So the background is there, and Motopark, Timo Rumpfkarl's team, is another one with a huge experience in running junior single-seaters and working with drivers and developing them, getting the best out of them. So, you know, there are some teams that really specialise. Koiranen is another, for example, in Formula Renault, that knows the category inside out and knows how to work with young drivers and get the best, and Motopark is another. It has a Formula 3 campaign as well. But here, Joel Eriksson takes the win ahead of Guan Yu Zhao, Robert Schwarzman third from Lando Norris, Joey Mawson and Ralph Aaron, who dropped away at the end. David Beckman was 7th ahead of Jana Esmayer. 9th went the way of Giorgio Maggi, and 10th was Waldherr ahead of Buchmann and Janitz after his lively early part of the race. Zimmermann down to 13th the end ahead of the recovering Schramm, Schumacher ahead of Van Outert, Rupp ahead of the recovered Cecotto, Valant and Hoti to round out the top 20. So the drivers